dive into the backstory. Who are you as a man, as a businessman? Just dive into it.
Yeah, so I mean, grew up in a small town, Pulaski, New York, with 1,200 people. I graduated with 80 kids. I played three sports in high school, actually four sports. I played basketball, ran cross country, ran track. One year I played football, and then I played little league and senior league baseball. So I was athletic growing up. I loved team sports. Grew up fishing and hunting and camping and boating on Lake Ontario. So very, small town, rural living, which I enjoyed. It was a great upbringing. And then I went to college at SUNY Geneseo, a small state school in upstate New York. And I feel like I really came out of my shell then. I realized how much I enjoyed meeting people, connecting people, hosting people. And back then it was parties. We'd have massive parties at our townhouse at Geneseo. But I enjoyed just like getting people together and forming community. And, it just goes back to like our tribal nature. And then my first business out of college was a property and casualty insurance agency. And that was something that my father pointed me in that direction. He gave me an opportunity to create my own insurance agency and define my destiny. So for 7 years, from 21 until 28, I was wearing a suit and tie and cufflinks and pocket squares and going door to door selling insurance to mainly campgrounds and marinas.
Where
And I focused on those markets because I realized that when you become known for something, word spreads if you're doing a good job for them.
Yeah.
So that's been a theme that's kind of carried along in all of my different businesses. I like going narrow and deep and specializing on one thing. So did that for 7 years. It was very much a, make enough money so I could have nice things. And, I would work on the weekdays and play hard on the weekends. And at 27, 28, I found myself in pretty bad shape. I was over 200 pounds. I had a little gut. Every afternoon was a lull. I was sleepy. I didn't have this continuous energy stream that I have now. And, I was abusing alcohol and I didn't have an education around healthy eating or appropriate exercise. So I hired a personal trainer at 27, and that personal trainer, he got me back into aesthetically good looking shape. And that was probably a 6 to 8 month period. And then I started running again. And I met some friends who had these fancy bikes that had four handlebars on them. And I was really intrigued about the bike. I'm like, what the hell is that? And they're like, it's a triathlon bike. And I'm like, okay, cool. I know what a triathlon is. I'm like, what are you doing? And they told me about this half Ironman that was coming to Syracuse. And they told me the distances of a 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike, and a half marathon. And I said, you'd do that all in one day? And they're like, yeah, people do it in 4 hours. And it just blew my mind. So I bought a bike. I was really intrigued, and then signed up for a sprint distance triathlon. Had no swimming background, so I almost drowned in the swim, passed a bunch of people on the bike, passed more people on the run, and ended up finishing third in my age group in this little small triathlon in my hometown, Cazenovia, New York. And it was empowering, and it reminded me of business where um your results are directly correlated to how much purposeful practice you put in. So I really liked that about the sport. So I started going to these Wednesday night triathlons in Jamesville, New York. And after a year, I was finishing in the top 1, 2, winning these Wednesday night triathlons. And now, I was in the mix of podiuming at various local triathlons. But whenever I went above a Olympic distance triathlon, like a half Ironman, I just bonked. I didn't have the ability to maintain the intensity that I could go at a sprint distance triathlon. And there was this one guy who kept beating me. His name's Mike Corona. And he didn't look nearly as fit as me at this point. I was pretty lean. I had abs, and I'm like, why is he beating me? I've looked so fit. He doesn't look as fit as me. So I hired him as my coach, and he taught me about zone 2 training, which is aerobic heart rate training. And he basically said you have to slow down to speed up. You have to start doing all of your running and biking at a 140 heart rate. Otherwise, I'm not going to coach you. That's the only way you're going to get better. It took me a few months to listen to him because, after each run, I'm like, I don't feel like I did anything because I was doing anything hard. I thought to get fitter, it meant you go harder every single time and try and improve your time. So he slowed me down, and in 2010, I could run an 8:30 pace at a 140 heart rate for 6 miles. Fast forward to 2014, I was running 20 plus miles at a 129 heart rate at a 625 pace. And it was all from doing zone 2 training, just building this aerobic engine and building durability. By slowing down, I was able to increase my volume, which, basically built up my durability. And these longer races are all about how durable are you? What's your muscular endurance? How big is your aerobic engine? So super valuable lesson he taught me. And then during those triathlon years, I really reshaped my life. I realized that I had a full cup. I was giving back. I was attracting opportunities. I had this unlimited energy. I felt more vulnerable and authentic than I ever did when I was drinking. So, I slowly phased out of the nightlife. I phased out of drinking. I phased out of late night dinners, and my life became built around getting to Kona, the Ironman World Championships. And then after my Ironman days, so 2014, I got more into CrossFit after that, strength training, anaerobic conditioning.
Mm,
And, as I sit here today, my life is very based around wellness protocols. I'm generally exercising twice a day because I enjoy it. I'm
mm,
doing recovery routines, contrast therapy, going in hot saunas and ice baths every single day. And I've been able to build businesses now around that lifestyle, creating content for brands and helping build consumer wellness brands, applying a lot of what I learned and building my own brands to these brands that I'm now helping.